talk about the calls that were made. They are highlighted actually in green. Let's go straight across to Meghna. Meghna, you don't have to duck around. We'll just open this and we will go. Let's get our cameras in focus. That's it. Now, that's where it is. Meghna, just talk us through these numbers. Of course, we blurred out the numbers, but who is this individual that the conversation is taking place with?
Well, Rahul, very interestingly, there is so much rhetoric around the death of Sushant Singh Rajput here on Times Now. We've decided we'll only deal with hard facts and records that we can see, which is not going to be twisted, sifting the fact and the fiction. What we have here for our viewers today are call data records from the day before Sushant Singh Rajput was found mysteriously dead. And these numbers, of course, we've blocked out these numbers, but these numbers are the ones which belong to one of the topmost talent managers of Bollywood. We have this number there, the 08 is the last number which is ending, and these were the calls which were made. These are 4 calls. There's another 5th call as well which were made. The last few calls which were made on the 13th of June. 14th of June is when Sushant Singh Rajput was found dead. Here are the call durations, 297 seconds. Another one was for 24 seconds. One was for a 3-second call as well. And then there is another one which was for 33 seconds. So on and so forth. A lot of these calls were made. And Rahul, it's important for us to point out, it's not just these calls, but also WhatsApp calls were made. Because here on Times Now, not only the call data records, we spoke to the person who made these calls.
That's another one of them. And that's a longer one.
This is the another one. This is the last call, which was the longest call which was made for 368 seconds, and this is the one which was made at 2:22 in the afternoon on 13th of June 2020, one day before Sushant Singh Rajput was found mysteriously dead in his flat. This call
this would have been actually Meghna, just about 10 hours before Sushant Singh Rajput is supposed to have taken that drastic step, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because it happened on the early morning of the wee hours of the 14th. His body was discovered, of course, in the morning. So this would have been just about 8-10 hours?
Who knows? Maybe 8 to 10 hours. Perhaps that's the figure we can best estimate, Rahul. And that's what makes this so important.
Who was this talent manager?
This is the last person. This is the last person who speaks to Sushant Singh Rajput, at least as per the call detailed records. We don't know if he made WhatsApp calls or other forms of calls, later in the night. But at least as far as the call details records that we have accessed, this person appears to be the last person. And he is a talent manager, not someone who's unknown in Bollywood.
Uday Singh Gauri, not unknown, very, very famous talent manager. There you can see his photograph also, and we are going to...
The viewers ought to be looking forward to. Rahul, you're absolutely right. Of all the numbers, and we've gone through all the call records which have come in the last 6 days before Sushant Singh Rajput was found dead, not a single call came in or went out to Riya Chakrabarti. Meanwhile, this is the number that we are focusing on right now. All of them were incoming calls from the same number to Sushant Singh Rajput's phone. The durations varied from 3 seconds. One of them went on to almost 6 seconds. However, we've spoken to the person who made all these calls, said that there were several other WhatsApp calls as well, in addition to the call record data that we are putting out. And interestingly, here you can see all of this was on 13th of June 2020. Given the post-mortem report, the rough time of his death, it would be about 10 to 12 hours perhaps before he allegedly took his own life. Rahul, that's what the question that we need to ask the Mumbai police. Immediately on 15th, they came out and said it was nothing but a case of suicide. Why would someone attend to so many calls? Not 1 or 2, but as many as 5 calls. There are more calls on the other page as well. 5 calls, and this is the longest call for 368 seconds. Attend to calls coming in from one of the topmost managers of talent managers of Bollywood, Uday Singh Gauri, who also says 2 of the other filmmakers as well as directors were on conference call in addition to these 5 calls. These questions need to be answered. He was not scripting his death.
Before we go out to more reporters on the ground, let's listen into this conversation that Times Now had with the last person to have a conversation with Sushant Singh Rajput. Uday Singh Gauri, the talent manager, top name in Bollywood, telling us Sushant Singh Rajput was looking forward to reading the scripts of 2 films that were pitched to him by top-notch director and producer Ramesh Taurani and Nikkhil Advani.
This is what day are you talking about?
13th of June, a day before he died.
Yeah. So we had a narration. There is this, and there is also this should be around 2:40, 50, right?
Yeah, 2:15. 2:15 is the first call.
Yeah. So we had a 50-minute or a 20 to 25-minute conversation before that what you're talking about is a WhatsApp call. But before that, there were calls with Ramesh Taurani and Nikkhil Advani for narration. We did a narration on the phone.
Okay.
We did a narration.
Okay.
Nikkhil Advani narrated an idea to them.
Okay.
And the phone you can actually collaborate this with Ramesh Taurani and Nikkhil Advani too. They should have the same thing.
Okay.
Because they had called me and I had called Sushant.
So it was a conference call, you're saying?
It was a 4-way call between Nikkhil Advani, Ramesh Taurani, myself and Sushant.
Could you tell me about his state of mind? I mean, your sense of...
His state of mind was normal. You can check, see again, I'm saying, you can check this with Nikhil and Ramesh also. I was on the call, but I was just hearing because the narration was given by Nikhil. Because Nikhil was talking, Sushant was talking, and Ramesh was talking. And he was asking the right questions. The network was bad. ये तभी जो आप बोलो ना कि
3 seconds, yeah, the call. Okay.
क्योंकि connection बहुत खराब था, so he would then ask again that Nikhil would say that did you what did you understand? So he would say, I've understood this point, and then he would take the conversation forward, and so it was that sort of a conversation. It was purely and it wasn't a very long. I think it should be more because it was a little longer than it seemed like a longer call. After 6 minutes to नहीं था, ज़्यादा ही था. I think phone call should be the last phone call is when I called him back after the narration. I asked him because he was talking to me as in he would tell me the real thing. So I asked him, what did you think of it? So he said that अच्छा है. I think that should be a 10, 12, 15 second conversation. He said अच्छी है, लेकिन we should wait for the big script and I was supposed to get him some other details from another production house, and he asked me the questions about that.
So you're saying Sushant was sounding normal. He was asking the right questions, is what you're saying?
Yeah. The call that you're talking about in specific, this call, everything that Sushant should have asked, I'm assuming, he asked. And I think, look again, I think what you should probably do is maybe speak to somebody else because I, as his agent, was present in the call and Nikhil narrated the script. He asked the name of the character. He asked about certain things जो normally आप पूछते हो ना
समझ गया
क्या हुआ so वो उसने पूछा. Ramesh was on the call and they were supposed to send us something in August. अभी first week of August Nikhil was supposed to send us a script and he was going to read it, and then immediately after the phone call I called him back and I said, Sushant, what do you think? कैसी लगी तुझे? He said अच्छी लगी, मेरे को ABCD changes to be very check.
No, it's important, Uday, that you're saying this because a lot of people are suggesting that he was not behaving properly, that he was maybe under depression, and all the chat that is going on.
Again, मुझे ना मैं कुछ और I don't want to comment something that I don't know.